We are live recording. Yes? Okay, so first things first, when you're doing your genotyping, what you want to do is you want to actually start with the X's and Y's. Okay? So Arlene must have two X's. Arthur has an X and Y. Okay? Tinka, two X's. Bart, an X and a Y. Henry, X and Y. Bertha, two X's. Got there? X and Y. Katrina, X, X. Shakira, X, X. Juanita, X, X. Tyrone, X, Y. Harold, X, Y. Okay. I'll do the C's in color, okay? So my big C, which is dominant, I'll do in blue. That's two eyes, just for effect. And the recessive one I'll do in red. Okay. So, always start with what you're certain of. Always begin there. And that little, when you're problem solving, you got a complex thing like this, take your bite-sized pieces and do them. You don't have to do them from the top to the bottom. You can do them in any order that just makes sense and you know for sure. What do you know about Bart? He's little c, right? Because he's hemizygous. He's Cyclops. Okay? So what you see is what you get. That's the beauty of the sex-linked inheritance pattern, is that the males, it tells you right away. Okay? You never get a carrier male. You can't, because they only have one allele. Okay? That's it. Okay? So what's up with Tyrone? This male here. Big C, okay? Big C, right there. Okay? We'll deal with the girls later. Got there. Little c, right? Got it? Okay, Henry. What's up with Henry? What's up with Henry? Big C, good. Okay? For sure, for sure. Okay? So, Bertha, what do we know for sure with her? Oh, fell right into the trap. Big C. Okay, this is where y'all lost, so stop. Question? Has to be. You're correct. Okay?
But how did she get it if her parents weren't?
We'll get there. We'll get there. You got it. Wait, we'll get there. Okay, the reason you guys all got underwater is this. You're all trying to do everything all at once, and you're all trying to start from the top. That's not necessary. Okay? Let's look at the parents first. We can see for sure what's going on. Okay? So we know that for sure, right? Any of the boys get their chromosome from their dad as the Y. So whatever the boys have in terms of their I is their mom's. Okay? And since we have little c over here, down here, we know that this X chromosome had to have come from Bertha. Right? But because Bertha herself has two eyes, we know that she must also have, whoops, sorry, wrong color. We also know that she has to have the big C gene. Okay, so the big C allele gives her the two eyes, but the fact that she has one-eyed offspring means that she passed that on. Okay? The same as the hemophilia case that we had seen before, where the mother was the carrier. Okay? Not naming names. Alright? So this means then that every girl must have a big C. How come? Hold on. Stay with me. Okay? Why? Because that's all Henry can give his girls. See, big C is dominant. Right? Which means Bertha, now what could Bertha do? Bertha could give either or. So what now do we say about the girls? Their second X. Are we certain of that? No. So we're going to throw a question mark beside. So we know that's the only possibility. Okay? So who is not possible? In my sloppy, messy, one of these is not possible. Shakira cannot happen. She cannot happen. Okay? Okay, stop and think. Okay? Henry can only give what genotype does he have? 2 eyes, right? So he can only give the 2i, right? Which means that Shakira gets the 2i allele, right? Which means if she gets the 2i allele, she has 2 eyes, right? So if this child appeared, then some splaining needs to be done, right? I'm not kidding, this happens. Okay? You're all going home going, huh? All right. Now, let's back engineer this sucker. All right? What a freaking mess. Okay? Well, here's the beauty. I can clean it up. We'll clean it up a bit here. Okay? Okay, it's a bit cleaner. All right. So we know Bertha's a carrier for sure. Carrier. All right. Which means what? What can we be certain about with Bertha in terms of where her X's came from? Whose X is whose? Sorry, the what was from the mom? No, the carrier is the combination. The small c is from the mom. Has to be. Why?
Oh,
because he has 2 eyes. Yeah, because Arthur has 2 eyes, right? Since Arthur has 2 eyes, we are now certain that he's the big C. Okay? C is for cookie. All right? And that's good enough for me. Now, what do we know about Arlene's other X chromosome? Arlene, what are we sure about her other X chromosome? She's a carrier as well. Okay? Let's go over to Tinka. It's her deal. Well, we know Bart passed his Y chromosome on to Henry. Wrong Y. Which means Tinka passed. Yeah, she's got to have one big C, but are we certain about her other X in this case? We are not. Okay? So since we're not certain about her, for her second chromosome, her second Y chromosome, we're going to throw a question mark on it. Okay?
That's Tinka.
It's Tinka. Don't tinker with Tinka. Okay? That's quite a mess, but that's okay. So let's just do the Punnett squares. All right? Just so it's a bit clearer. Bertha and Henry. Okay? Bertha. Okay? So she's X, big C, X, little c. Those are her 2 egg options. Okay? Henry, because he has 2 eyes, there he is there. And Bertha has 2 eyes, but we know by looking at her offspring that we've got some Cyclops that have come out. Okay? So that Cyclops comes from that C there. So that might be easier if I actually just circle that letter for you to see. Get it? See? All right, sorry, that was pretty sort of terrible. Okay, so let's just quickly fire up a Punnett square here. Okay? And again, these are possibilities. So you could have a homozygous recessive, or sorry, a homozygous dominant female. You can have a carrier female. Little c. You can have a boy with 2 eyes, in which case he's got the big C, which which looks like an E now. Let me just make that a little more, that's horrible. Okay, and we can have a male with the little c. All right. So we can see from this Punnett square that a homozygous recessive female is not an option. Is it? It doesn't appear. Okay? So if we go back to our pedigree, that's what Shakira would have to have been. So, you know, and given we don't know the moral code of Fozzles, right? Her dad, okay, he can't be a carrier. Right, so what would his eyes look like? What would his eyes look like? What kind of eyes would he have? He'd be Cyclops. Okay? Okay? So if Shakira actually got born, then Shakira came from the Cyclops male. Okay? Who might have just gotten into the tank, right? The cage, right? The breeding cage. We don't know. All right? It could have happened. All right? Not Henry. Okay? Some other guy. Because Henry and Bertha will not produce that outcome. It can't. It's not an option. Does that make sense? Okay. The same kind of thing can happen with blood typing. All right? Where you can be sure that there's no way that that could be the father. And then there are other combinations where maybe, maybe not. And we'll look at that. All right? That's a whole other system. Okay? So that's X-linked inheritance. All right? And if you look here, that the Bertha and Henry cross is really the same genotypic cross as these. Okay? These are the same. So heterozygous carrier mom with a hemizygous dominant male. Two-eyed male. Right? Two-eyed female, two-eyed male. Now, two-eyed female who is homozygous dominant, would there be any possibility that she could have Cyclops offspring? No. Not at all. Okay? All right. Bye now.